I was broke. Like, eating ramen for every meal broke. I needed rent money fast, so I decided to sell my custom gaming PC. I listed it on Facebook Marketplace for $1,200. Within an hour, I got a message from a guy named Kyle. His profile looked normal. Picture of a guy in a baseball cap, a few photos of a dog. He didn't haggle. He just said, "I'll take it, cash in hand. Can meet tonight." We agreed to meet at a Starbucks parking lot in a safe, well-lit area of Indianapolis around 8 p.m. I packed the PC tower into my back seat and drove over. At 7:55 p.m., I got a message. "Hey man, I'm so sorry. My car won't start. Battery is dead. I really want the PC though. If you can drive it to my place, I'll give you an extra $50 for gas. I'm just 10 minutes away." I hesitated. The #1 rule is never go to a second location. But I was desperate, and an extra $50 sounded amazing. I checked the address he sent. It was in a residential neighborhood, not some abandoned warehouse, so I figured it was safe. "Fine," I replied. "On my way." I pulled up to the house about 15 minutes later. It was a small, run-down bungalow at the end of a cul-de-sac. The streetlights were out on this block, making it pitch black. The house was completely dark, except for a faint light on the porch. I texted him, "I'm here." He replied instantly, "Door is open. Come inside, I'm counting the cash on the kitchen table. My leg is in a cast, so I can't come out." That was the first red flag. First, it was a dead car battery. Now, it was a broken leg. I decided to leave the PC in the car. I'd go to the door, get the cash first, then get the computer. I walked up the driveway, the gravel crunching loudly under my boots. I stepped onto the porch and knocked.
The door wasn't latched. It creaked open slightly.
"Kyle?" I called out. "In here," a voice called from the back of the house. It sounded deep, not like the young guy in the profile picture. I took one step inside. The living room was empty. No furniture, no TV, just bare floorboards and trash. This wasn't someone's home. It was an abandoned house. My instincts screamed at me to run. I spun around to leave. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows of the hallway to my right. He was wearing a ski mask and holding a baseball bat. "Where's the computer?" he growled. I didn't answer. I bolted. I sprinted off the porch, jumping over the railing. "Get him!" the man shouted. 2 other men burst out from the bushes on the side of the house. It was an ambush. They had been waiting outside for me to carry the heavy tower, so I couldn't run. I scrambled into my car, locking the doors just as one of them slammed his fist against my window. I fumbled with the keys, started the engine, and threw it into reverse, nearly running over one of the guys. I sped out of that cul-de-sac doing 50 miles per hour. When I got home, I reported the profile to the police. They told me that address had been foreclosed on 6 months ago. The Kyle profile was fake, created that same day. They weren't looking to buy a computer. They were looking to rob me, beat me, and take my car. I never sell anything unless it's inside a police station lobby now. I've always wanted a classic 1967 Mustang. It's been my dream car since high school. So, when I saw a listing on Marketplace for a Project Mustang for only $4,000, I thought I had struck gold. The description said it needed engine work, but the body was rust-free. The seller, Big Mike, seemed friendly over the phone. We agreed to meet on a Saturday afternoon. He told me the car was stored in his uncle's auto shop in an industrial park on the outskirts of Detroit. It sounded plausible. Lots of people store classic cars in warehouses. My friend, Dave, offered to come with me, but he got called into work last minute. I was too excited to wait, So I went alone. Big mistake. I arrived at the address around 4 p.m. It was a desolate area. Chain-link fences, rusted machinery, and rows of corrugated metal warehouses. There wasn't a soul in sight. I parked my Honda in front of Unit 4B. A large metal rolling door was half open. A man stepped out. He was huge, at least 6'4", with a thick beard and grease-stained coveralls. "You the guy for the Mustang?" he asked, wiping his hands on a rag. "Yeah, that's me," I said, stepping out. "Is it inside?" "Yep, way in the back." He pointed into the dark warehouse. "Pull your car inside so you don't block the alley. Trucks come through here." I nodded and drove my Honda into the warehouse. As soon as I cleared the entrance, Mike hit a button on the wall. The heavy metal door rattled down behind me, plunging us into semi-darkness. The only light came from some dusty skylights. I looked around. The warehouse was almost empty. There were some old tires and oil drums, but I didn't see a Mustang. "Where's the car?" I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. "Right back there," Mike said, walking past my car toward a dark corner. "Under the tarp." I got out and followed him, but kept my distance. There was a shape under a gray tarp. It looked car-sized. Mike reached for the tarp. "She's a beauty," he said. He yanked the tarp off. It wasn't a car. It was a stack of old wooden pallets arranged in the shape of a vehicle. My heart stopped. I turned to look at Mike. He wasn't looking at the pallets. He was looking at me, blocking the path to my car. And he was holding a crowbar he had pulled from a shelf. "Hand over the cash," he said calmly, "and the keys to the Honda." I realized then that he knew I had $4,000 in cash in my pocket. I didn't argue. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the envelope of cash, and threw it as hard as I could to his left into a pile of trash. His eyes followed the money for a split second. That was all I needed. I didn't run for my car. He was too close to it. I ran for the side personnel door I had seen near the entrance. "Hey!" he roared, swinging the crowbar. It missed my head by inches, clanging against a metal pillar. I hit the push bar on the door. It was rusted shut. I slammed my shoulder into it with all my strength. It burst open, spilling me out into the alleyway. I didn't look back. I ran through the industrial maze until I found a main road and flagged down a delivery truck. When the cops went back, my Honda was stripped. The wheels, the radio, the battery, all gone. Mike was gone. The warehouse was rented under a stolen identity. I lost my car and my cash, but at least I didn't end up under that tarp. My roommate and I had just moved into our first apartment in Austin. We had no furniture, so I was constantly refreshing the free stuff section on Marketplace. Then I saw it. A beautiful gray sectional sofa. The caption read, "Moving out tomorrow, must go today. Free if you can move it yourself." I messaged the seller, a woman named Sarah. She replied immediately with an address in a wealthy suburb about 20 minutes away. "My husband is at work, but the house is unlocked," she wrote. "The couch is in the basement den. Just go in and take it." I grabbed my roommate, Jake, and we drove over in his truck. The house was huge, a 2-story brick mansion with a manicured lawn. It looked totally normal. We parked in the driveway and walked to the front door. I rang the doorbell just to be polite. No answer. I tried the knob. Unlocked, just like she said. "Hello?" I yelled into the foyer. "We're here for the couch." Silence. The house was eerily quiet. It was also completely empty. No pictures on the walls, no rugs, just hardwood floors. "Must have already moved everything else out," Jake shrugged. Let's get this done. We found the basement door in the kitchen. We walked down the stairs. The basement was finished, but the lights weren't working. The only light came from the small window wells near the ceiling. And there it was, the sectional sofa. It was in perfect condition. Score, Jake grinned. We each grabbed a section of the sofa. It was heavy. We lugged the first piece up the stairs, maneuvering it through the tight door frame. We got it out to the truck and went back for the second piece. As we were halfway down the basement stairs, we heard a sound from upstairs. Click. Then the sound of a heavy deadbolt sliding into place.
We both froze.
"Hello?" Jake shouted.
Heavy footsteps walked across the kitchen floor above us, stopping right at the top of the basement stairs.
Then, the basement door, which we had propped open with a shoe, was kicked shut. We heard the lock on the basement door click. We were trapped. "Is this a joke?" I yelled, running up the stairs and pounding on the door. "Let us out!" A man's voice came from the other side. It wasn't the husband. It sounded raspy and unhinged. "I like to watch," he whispered through the wood. Then, a small vent on the basement wall slid open. A pair of eyes appeared, staring at us. "I like to watch them panic," the voice giggled. "Dude, grab the hammer," Jake whispered, pointing to a toolbox someone had left in the corner of the room. I grabbed the hammer. Jake grabbed a heavy metal lamp stand. We didn't wait to see what he would do next. We ran to one of the high window wells. It was small, but big enough to squeeze through if we broke the glass. I smashed the window with the hammer. The alarm system started blaring instantly. "Go! Go!" I boosted Jake up. He scrambled out into the backyard. He reached down and pulled me up just as the basement door handle started to turn. We ran to the truck and sped off. We didn't stop until we were 3 towns over. We later found out the house was for sale, and Sarah wasn't the owner. Someone had broken in, changed the locks, and posted the ad just to lure people into the basement. The police found a sleeping bag and a collection of driver's licenses in the attic, trophies from people who hadn't been as lucky as us. We never went back for the first half of the couch.